Well, Ma, they're playing that song again. Must be time for the Turner Boy and Company here. And by golly, here we are. Stan Turner with you. Thank you so much for your company on this beautiful day. Lovely all over the area. We see some clouds building in, but still, in all, it looks like a pretty good deal as far as the weather goes. You heard the forecast. Mid-80s for a high today. We're already at 82 degrees. Kyle, looks like we're going to pick up a little rain. Your car windows are open. Of course, you left them open this morning when you parked down.
No, not my car windows. My apartment windows.
Oh, that's even worse. I can't let you go right now. You got to stay here, man.
Well, it's not raining quite yet, so I think I'm okay.
Okay, you're all right. We'll try to rush. No, we can't rush through the hour. We can't move the clock ahead, can we? We just got to keep doing this here. Well, we're loaded for a great show here as usual. You know what we try to do here. We like to give you stories, real stories that come alive, and we are lucky to have many, many fine friends and acquaintances along the way here. I've been in the news business for many years, as you know, probably, and I'm able to draw on some magnificent people who have great stories to tell, and they're all true because I check them out beforehand. Well, folks, I got to tell you this. Wow, what an evening last night. It was something like a class reunion, you know, the kind you actually want to attend. Well, what last night actually was a retirement party for Jason Davis. Jason has been an on-air fixture at KSTP Television News since 1976. He went on the road using his unique storytelling magic to introduce us to hundreds, well, probably thousands of fascinating characters around here and around the world. So there we were last night at a St. Paul watering hole, Channel 5 staffers, past and present, FOJs, friends of Jason, all gathered to salute this fine guy on his retirement. He and his gracious, beautiful, amazing wife, Amanda, were joined by their 4 children and lots of grandkids, too, all looking wonderful and beaming with joy because they'll get to see more of their dad and granddad now that he's pulled off the road after decades of roaming the landscape for stories. It was great fun for me, too. Like many of those present last night, I logged 30-plus years at Channel 5 News, and so I got reacquainted with colleagues I haven't seen for a long time. Some of those folks, some of them are still on the air. Yeah, the long-timers. Well, let's see. Weatherman Dave Dahl stepped by. Always sunny. No dark clouds around that upbeat, smiling guy. And speaking of smiles, sportscaster Joe Schmidt was there, too. Yep, the ageless, upbeat guy next door, Joe Schmidt. And by happy coincidence, folks, that very smiling Joe is sitting beside me right now, and we're going to have a nice visit this noon hour. Somehow, Joe left the sporting arenas and playing fields long enough to write a book, and a good one it is, and we'll talk about the contents as we journey through this hour with gentleman Joe Schmidt. Joe, we got a lot of shared memories, haven't we?
We certainly do. As a matter of fact, as I was driving into Stillwater, I was telling my wife, Laura, I said, I remember my first day on the air, and it was January 27th, 1985. And I remember sitting on the set. You were anchoring with Cindy Bricado. And after I was done, I was like, wow, I just worked with this anchor who's like the best anchor man I've ever seen. And I'm not stroking
Joe.
you. It was like I realized I was now in the big time.
Well,
and I'd come from smaller markets and worked my way up, and it was great because I think what happens in a lot of businesses is I know I got better because I worked with better people like you, and it was just because I saw the standard that was being held at Channel 5 at the time, and I knew I had to step up my game in a hurry.
Well, buddy, you came to it right away. You were well equipped because, you know what, you are a natural. It sounds like the Mutual Admiration Society, but it is true. Joe Schmidt is what he appears to be on the air. A well-grounded, wonderful guy. He knows his subject well, but he's not acting in front of the camera. You are who you are, and it comes across the screen. People know you. When they meet you on the street, you're the same Joe we know. And people actually, when you're on TV especially, they invite you into their home every night, if we're lucky, and you become a member of the family if they accept you. And that's a very, very, very high honor. And even to this day, I've been off the air, off TV for several years now, but people still come up, they say, you're our friend, you know, what a lovely compliment. And that's, kind of the litmus test. And Joe, you've always passed that, and you just fit right in right away, and we're so happy to have you. No, not a pretentious bone in the body, and that's one of the many things we like about you so much. But what were your feelings last night? Now, you're around these people, this Channel 5ers, but there were a lot of former employees you and I saw last night, whom we worked with years ago. And I told you before airtime today, it was bittersweet for me last night. Yeah. The sweet part is obvious, seeing good friends. You know, the heroes, I think, of the business are the people the viewer never sees or hears about. The producers, the photographers, the editors, all the people. We couldn't do what we do without them. We just simply couldn't exist.
You know, I call it friendship equity, you know, because when you put that many years in a business that can sometimes be grueling, a lot of pressure on you, deadlines, a lot of things going on, you really rely on each other. And to see all these people, you know, from the old sports photographers to the engineers to all the people who had worked with Jason and in the newsroom. Right. I was a little melancholy because as we're getting older, you know, some of our dear friends are having some health issues, and in a way it was a nice tribute to them too, because everybody was so happy to see some of these people that we've worked with. And there was one great moment. Chris Melvitt, who is the operations director at the station right now in the newsroom. Mm-hmm. And he's been married for 35 years, and his entire wedding party was there.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
So we got them all together. We took a picture of him 35 years later.
No kidding.
And his wife was there just beaming, and it was just a great moment. I was like thinking, oh, wow, these guys, I'd love to see the picture from 35 years ago.
Absolutely. Nobody's changed a bit, right? Chris is the only people who got older, everybody except you and me.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not sure about you, Joe. But, it was...
boy.
I must tell you, though, and you know, people, you go to your class reunions and the rest, and, you know, this happens to all of us, but my heart was broken last night seeing some of our one-time colleagues, and their health problems are just, some of them are just very, very heavy and not good at all.
Yeah, it was kind of sad that way, and I just we talked before, and I said we need to do something to make sure we get together more often at just a going away party and God forbid a funeral, and that's something that I think that we all have to push. You all have to kind of realize that, you know, friendships or relationships, you know, marriage, whatever it is, it does take work. And you have to put some time into it, and you have to think about it a little bit.
I'm not a big fan of cliches, and one I like least of all is the one where you meet people you haven't seen for a long time around the casket at the visitation. We've got to stop meeting like this. Ha, ha, ha. It's not ha, ha, ha. We should be meeting at venues outside, away from a funeral home and the recent death of somebody we knew. And you're right. Class, you know, high schools and the rest get it right. Let's have a reunion. Let's have fun. Yeah, we don't look like we used to look, but we still have shared memories, and a lot of gold ones at that.
No question. And you know, there were some great old stories that were being told, and the funny thing is, as I was thinking about it, you know, Stan, you know, I look back at your career, and you've covered everything from, you know, Gorbachev in town to all these amazing events. Yeah. But you know what they were talking about? Remember that live shot at Stillwater that time when the truck went out?
I'm going to ask you about those great on-air live bloopers. Yeah. We all blew up from time to time. Boy, I had my share of them too, Joe. And a lot of our colleagues rubbed their hands together saying, I got that on videotape, and we're going to put that on the blooper reel, and you will live in infamy, Joe and Stan Turner, for the rest of your lives, because we're going to play these. We want you to be roundly embarrassed, but it does happen.
Well, let's just put it this way. When I look back at my broadcasting career, I am so happy they didn't have YouTube when I first started.
Me too.
Because there would be some moments there that would live in infamy.
Absolutely.
And you know, the boom goes the dynamite sports guy, that was me when I first started. So.
Joe Schmidt, Channel 5 sports guy. What a wonderful friend he is to all of us, Joe. Joe, we're going to ask you, of course, about your book in the course of our conversation today. When did the book come out? It's called Silent Impact, Stories of Influence Through Purpose, Persistence, and Passion.
It was released in February of this year, and I'm happy to say it's on its second printing right now.
Wow.
So it went very well off the gate. People who get it really get it, because this is, I guess you could call it a self-help book, but this is a collection of stories about people who make an impact without really trying to.
I like that.
I say in the book, we make
nice.
we make our biggest impressions when we're not trying to be impressive, and the impact that we have can be real, it can be profound, and it can last for a long, long time. I have stories of people. All these stories I've either been a part of, that I knew the person, or I did the research on it. I used my reporting skills to go back and find the impact many, many years later. So it was a very fun project, and I used that in my speaking career, because I speak to businesses and leaders and associations all over the state, and now kind of all over the Midwest as the book has taken off. So that's been kind of fun, too.
Silent impact, you call it. Yet I'm a little confused. On the cover, we see a guy blasting into a megaphone, Joe, and that sounds loud to me.
Well, and there was some reason behind that, because it is silent impact, but your impact is being heard loud and clear.
Okay, I know.
So it's a little. Well, you had to have a little play.
I kind of figured that's what it was.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
When the designer of the book, which was very good, a designer of the book. This guy from northern Minnesota, and I said, I want you to read the book before you design it. Mm-hmm. And I gave him a couple ideas, and he's the one who came up with this idea.
I like it. It works. It works. It's wonderful. The book works, too, what's between the covers. Where do we get it? Valley Bookseller, for sure, in Stillwater.
I'm there from 2 to 4 today signing, so if you want to go to Valley Bookseller, my website is joeschmidt.com. Spell it right, SCHMIT. You can also get Amazon Kindle, all that kind of stuff. And so it's available a lot of different places. I know Barnes & Noble in the Twin Cities is carrying it in some places, and various independent bookstores.
Big, small, in between. Joe Schmidt. There are 15 ways or 1,500 ways to spell a Schmidt, SCHMIT.
There you go.
Joe Schmidt. Joe, it's always dicey, always difficult to talk about a relatively new book without stealing all your thunder. Putting some of the anecdotes out on the air. People, they'll still want to read it, though. Do you mind if we go through some of these today?
As a matter of fact,
because they're really wonderful stories.
The one thing that I've learned, Stan, and it's interesting because I've thought about this a little bit, because I thought, I don't want to give the whole book away. No, but you got to hook people in. They have to hear these stories, because once they hear these stories, then they're going to realize what the book is all about. Because there are stories in there about people such as Paul Molitor, Joe Mauer, Mike Veck.
I learned a lot about these people I know already.
Right.
I didn't know about this.
But then I've got personal stories, my battle with cancer, stories about my dad, stories of people who had impact on me. Right. And then I found a couple of stories, such as a nun in northern Minnesota, who I then went back 40 years later and found all the people that she's still having an impact on today.
I love that story.
Yeah, so I'll be willing to share any of those.
Thank you, Joe. And also along the way this hour with Joe Schmidt here, I do want to ask you about the business of sports.
Yes.
I want to ask you about the public financing of stadia, stadiums, things like that. Athletes being good or bad role models, Joe, things like that. You don't mind, do you?
No,
Joe?
Don't mind at all.
Because I'm going to ask them anyway. How about that?
I'll be as honest as my friend told me just the other day. He said, he's been very successful in sales for 30 years, and he did this line to me. He said, I've figured out the key to success. The key to success is sincerity. And once you learn how to fake that, success is easy.
That's a corruption of an old George Burns line.
Is it really?
Yeah. Anybody can be an actor. Is just be genuine. If you can fake that, you got it made. Right? That's it. It really is. Joe Schmidt with us. Channel 5 Sports, new book out. Silent Impact Stories of Influence Through Purpose, Persistence, and Passion. The 3 Ps. We'll be talking about what's in between the covers, plus many other things related to television and sports. We're going to take a break, and we shall be back in a moment.
At Jaime's Haberdashery, men never sacrifice fashion for weather. So no matter how cold it gets, you can still spot a Jaime's man by his impeccable taste and the confidence that only comes from a hot lather shave. Jaime's Haberdashery helps men look and feel their best with high-quality clothing cut and styled just for them. Create a look that's uniquely yours with tailored suits, overcoats, hats, and accessories that make winter blush. And at prices that won't melt your wallet. Jaime's Haberdashery, 400 St. Peter Street in downtown St. Paul. Online at Jaime's.com.
To really experience a book, meet the author. I'm Stan Turner for Valley Bookseller in downtown Stillwater. Every month, Valley Bookseller's calendar is loaded with events featuring both local and national authors. Visit valleybookseller.com and click the events calendar for a complete list. Choose from monthly events like the Totally Criminal Cocktail Hour or special presentations with authors on tour. Meet your favorite author at Valley Bookseller. Great books, great people. 217 North Main in Stillwater.
Here's Dr. Tricia Carlson from Stillwater Family Dental. Why is your dental experience so important?
My dental experience has been really critical in shaping me as a dentist. I have worked really hard to learn a lot more about training, especially children. I love working with kids. It's important that kids come in and have a positive experience so that they build long-term relationships with their dentist and their hygienist. They want to come back. They build value into taking care of their teeth for a lifetime.
Stillwater Family Dental. Dentistry for the whole family.
Sister Act, the smash hit musical the New York Post calls ridiculously fun, is coming here direct from Broadway.
It's the hilarious story of a wannabe diva who transforms a ragtag church choir into the hottest musical act around.
And she discovers what sisterhood is all about. So join the 3 million people who've experienced the pure, unadulterated fun of Sister Act, America's new musical comedy classic.
You'll leave the theater feeling amazing.
May 27th through June 1st at Orpheum Theater.